My name is Melinda Hart. You are watching Stamping with Hart. You can find me at stampingwithhart.blogspot.com. And tonight we are going to be working with this card, and this is from the Elegantly Said stamp set. Elegantly Said can be found in the annual catalog, as well as the two heart punches we have here. So we have our, this is a pack. These two punches come together, and I'm sorry about all my fingerprints on there. But we have this heart and also the scalloped heart that the regular hearts layers into, just like this. Those are also annual catalog products. So most everything that I'm using on the card tonight can be found in the annual catalog. So I had asked some people, you know, New Year's resolutions in terms of craft room and, you know, what would you like to do this year? And the biggest answer, the largest response was to make more cards. And a lot of people said that they wanted to get organized, and some people said that they wanted to use what they had. So one of my goals is going to be going back and forth between our brand new products and then also our annual catalog products. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And one of the new catalog products that I do have here is the frayed ribbon. This is just a really soft, pretty, in my opinion, this sort of like vintage looking ribbon. And it's also quite large. So it's 3/4 of an inch, which is a larger size than normal, I would say. So really, really pretty, but it has texture and impact on your card. And this is the layout. So the layout for the card itself is simple, but we are going to be doing a little bit of punching, die cutting, and then also heat embossing. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started making this card. I think that this is one of the prettiest sets that we have right now. And I personally really love lace. So here you can see we have this large lace pattern, and that is what this is here. But we also have this, it's like a half row of lace. So let me show you like that. So we have this lace pattern where you can do it either in a single or a double. And let me show you what I mean by double. Here we go. Okay, so here is the pattern, just a really simple pattern that we did with this stamp right here that we're going to recreate tonight. And then there's this pattern here. So you can actually create a double-sided pattern with this stamp. And that's what I'm going to do tonight. But if you would prefer to keep it single-sided, you don't want to do anything complicated, you want to keep it single-sided, you can also do that, and it has a beautiful impact. But this almost looks like snowflakes to me. So just depending on your positioning and the way that you want to do that, really, really pretty. And here it is again in, I think this is So Saffron. But you can see here, I was practicing with my lineup, and then I hit it right here. So don't be afraid to experiment, get that Stamparatus out. We're going to use that tonight. But again, you don't have to be perfect. And if you do like this spacing in between, you could do a piece of ribbon here or a stripe of cardstock, whatever you prefer. And then the other thing that we did was punch the hearts out in the heat embossed pattern. So we're going to get into this. But yeah, so we're going to go ahead and recreate these cards. Now, the colors that you're seeing here on the sample card, this is Petal Pink, and I thought I would do a brighter color tonight. So we're going to do Polished Pink on the live, okay? But you could do this with a really soft colors, soft romantic colors, and then I'm going to do a little bit more of a bold classic Valentine color here with Polished Pink. I don't use this nearly enough, so I thought this would be a nice one to bring in. So, okay, and then let me know where you're watching from, what's going on. I have, where I live here in Pennsylvania, we are having a snowstorm right now. So hopefully the Wi-Fi is going to be good. So far, so good. But if you guys have any trouble hearing me or anything like that, don't be afraid to shout it out. All right, so we'll start with the simpler patterns. So let me tell you some of the other things that we're going to be using. So in terms of the inks, I'm going to use the Versamark ink. I'm going to use my embossing buddy, or you know, your anti-static tool, whatever that is in your craft space. We're going to be using the White Stampin' Emboss Powder tonight. And then I'm going to be using just one stitched rectangle, but you could, you know, whatever shape you want to use, you can. And I'll get you a measurement on that. Let me do that now before I forget, because we know I all have a tendency to do that. So it looks like 4 3/8 by 3 inches. So 3 by 4 3/8. That is the stitch rectangle size we'll be using tonight. Okay, and we're going to take that embossing buddy and we're going to run it all along a piece of cardstock. Oh, I like to cut a half a sheet of cardstock when I'm making a background, and that's just so that I can have extra, or you know, if I don't get it perfect, I still have other areas on the same piece of cardstock. But if you want to cut it down ahead of time, you can. I personally like to cut it after I've stamped it out or heat embossed it or what have you. So that's what I'm going to do. And I just wanted you guys to know why I'm doing it that way. So I'm going to take my embossing buddy and I'm just going to run it across this whole sheet. Now I'm not going to be stamping off the edges here. I'm going to stay within the borders of this cardstock layer. Okay. I'm going to try not to touch it. So the reason that we use an anti-static tool, just in case you aren't familiar, it really helps to keep the stamped image crisp and clean. If you get, you know, oils from your finger on the paper or something like that, the powder can attach to it, and then it can be a little bit messy. So that's why I'm doing the embossing buddy. So let me get my Versamark. I covered it with my card, my sample card. I'm going to try to keep this where we can see that. We're going to do the lace pattern first, and I'll just tell you guys how I kind of did this. So as you can see, this is just on a clear block. So if you prefer clear block stamping, I'm going to have one of each tonight. So we'll do the piece of lace with the clear block, and I'm going to do the strip with the Stamparatus, and I'll show you why. Okay, and I'm just going to go right down into the corner. So this is almost like an L shape, and I'm just going to stamp it right down here. This is a cling stamp, so cling already has the foam built in, so I don't have to worry about having that extra padding on my surface there. Okay. All right, so there's the first one. Now I know this is pretty faint, so if you can see that sheen, what I'm going to do is set this in the opposite direction, and I'll show you. I'll show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to re-ink. We're going to re-ink in between every stamp. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it so that like that L position is in the opposite direction. So like an upside down L almost. And I'm going to go with this pattern design and I'm going to fit it in. So what I'm going to do is meet this piece or this tip to this tip. And you'll see what I mean in a minute. Okay, and then I'm just going to stamp this. So whenever you're doing a background like this and you're going to cut the pieces out either with a punch or a die cut, it doesn't have to be a perfect pattern. You can make mistakes with this and still have a really nice background. Okay, so I'm just going to give that ink a minute to transfer. All right, so hopefully you can see that that's like sandwiched in a little bit. And you'll really see it come to life when we put that powder on there. I'm going to get my white embossing powder, and we're just going to drizzle it right over these images here. It never gets old. It is always magical. Every single time I heat emboss, and I heat emboss pretty often with you guys, so. All right, let me just tap off the back. This is looking pretty good, pretty clean. What do you think? I'm gonna just blow on it gently. Okay, so the one space that I'm seeing, it looks like I have a little extra powder here, and I'm wondering if I should just try my nail to get that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, so that's still intact. There's a little bit, nothing too crazy there. I kind of touched the lace. I should stop while I'm ahead. Okay, so I'm gonna put this powder back, and then we're gonna do this with the embossing tool. We'll heat this up, cook this powder. Okay. I'll vacuum that later. That we all say, right? Okay, so let me grab my heat emboss gun. Okay, here we go. All right, and this is going to take just a few minutes to warm up. Hi, Kathy, how are you? Okay, so here we go. Absolutely love the white against the polished pink. Oh my gosh. So beautiful. Let me know in the comments if you guys have Elegantly Said. This is actually a part of a suite in the annual catalog. All right, I'm going to kind of go right to the edge here. Just set that down. There we go. And I'm going to back it out. There we go. And I would say just be patient popping this out, just because you have that, you know, that little extra finish on here. Okay, and we're good to go. All right, everything's intact, which is good. All right, and now I'm going to get my punch, that heart punch. I like to turn my heart upside down. So this is just because I like to see the positioning of the things. But if you're going to do that, just make sure that you don't pinch yourself. So see how that closes right there? Just make sure you don't pinch your skin. But we're just going to go upside down here. And I think that would be a really pretty heart. And then over here, I think that would be gorgeous. So let's do that one. And then we'll do this one. Okay. All right, so we have those pieces, and now we're going to punch out two pieces in basic white with the scalloped heart. So I'm sure you have lots of basic white scraps around. We're going to punch two of these. Okay. All right, and then we're going to get our card. And I'm going to set this aside for a minute. I'm going to get my stamp. We're going to use True Love Stories Last Forever. That is I mean, an incredible sentiment. I just love that. But here are the other sentiments that you have to work with, just depending on the card or the occasion that you need this for. This layout and background will work for all of these. Thank you, for you, the birthday, anniversary, just telling someone that they're amazing, and support. And then of course, love. So really, really wonderful stamp set. And then I'm looking for my polished pink. So we're going to stamp this in polished pink just to keep it coordinated. I am going to clean off. Look at how pretty that ink pad is. Ugh, the in colors. Gotta love the in colors, especially the new ones. And I have my cleaner here. Stamp cleaner. This is my Simply Chamois. Adore this thing. So I had petal pink on here before, so it wouldn't, you know, wouldn't be a deal breaker, but you definitely don't want to cross-contaminate your ink if you can help it. Okay, so I'm going to stamp this right along the bottom. Right along the edge of this card here. Okay. And then let's go ahead and we'll score this with our bone folder. I feel like I could use that for something else. Okay, so for your card layout, just depending, oh, if you guys can hear that scraping, the you know, the workmen are out there, they're doing the salting of the roads and getting all of the snow cleaned up. They're really good about it here where I live, which is wonderful. Okay, so these are our pieces, and then I'm also going to get that ribbon. Ooh, I am so sorry. Hey Evelyn, hey Marcia, how are you guys? How's everybody doing tonight? Okay, I'm going to go back through the comments in a minute, and I'll just check in on what everybody is saying. Okay, so you don't need a lot of this. Okay, I'm not going to do any bows tonight. This is really just to have that touch of texture here. Just really rich and pretty, I think. I really love this pairing. But of course, if you want in color ribbon, you can do that too. Polished pink, we do have that. I'll grab that in a minute, but I am going to use this one. You know what? Let me grab it now so you guys can see what it looks like. Okay. I forgot. I have two polished pinks that aren't even open yet. Okay, so here's the polished pink ribbon. And you can see the difference in the size here, just depending on, you know, what you have at home or what you'd want to use. Even layered, look at how gorgeous that is. So I'm going to do just this piece here so that we can show off this ribbon. And I'm just going to trim this just enough to wrap it around and hide it in the back. And again, that's our frayed ribbon, and that one is a new catalog, a mini catalog item. And the stamp set and the punches are annual catalog items. I'm going to do mine centered, my ribbon. And then I'm just going to use some tear and tape to hold this down. And I'm actually not going to pull the backing of the tear and tape off because I'm going to use dimensionals to pop this up a little. This pattern here, I'll do this pattern as well so you can see that, what that one looks like. Okay. Okay, and then for this, I'm just going to glue my polished pink heart to the back of the white scalloped heart. And I'm going to pop the white scalloped heart up on dimensionals. And I'm just going to position the dimensionals so that they won't be on the ribbon. So I'm just going to do the tips. Okay. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh my gosh. I love vintage things. I love lace. I love all of that. Anything handwritten, anything that looks slightly aged or frayed. That is just totally me and my style. Okay, I'm a gold girl. I love gold. I love rose gold too. I would definitely choose gold over silver personally, but silver is also gorgeous, just depending on what you're using it for. Okay, and then just centering that. And that's it. And if you guys have the gems, the in color gems, you could pop a couple of gems on here too. How gorgeous would that be? But just the softness of that frayed ribbon, I just think that that is so pretty. Hi Marian, how are you? Okay, so that's the card. Okay, and then if you would want to do the other version, of course, you could do that one too. And let me just show you what that would look like. And then I am going to stamp this out on polished pink so that you can see it. I'm just looking for my heart here. So if you would want to do this pattern instead, you could do it this way, or you could do it this way. So just pretend like that's not there. And if you prefer the cards that open, you know, this way to the side, you could do that too. Really, really pretty, just depending on what you choose. So here is the stamp that I am referring to here. So this is this lace line. And the first thing that I want to mention about this is that it's narrow. So we know that it's going to fit in between each hinge. So we can go every hinge instead of having to go every other hinge. So our spacing can be pretty close together. You want to make sure you have your, your paper secure or your cardstock secure. Make sure that your stamp is clean when you lay it on the paper, and then pick it up. So I'm just going to press that down. We're going to pick it up and we're going to start inking and going. But I am going to do my anti-static tool. All right, and then we're going to do our Versamark all the way across. We're going to go every hinge right down the line. Okay, so hopefully, I'm not sure if you guys can see that or not, but I'm going to try to see if that will pick up the reflection here. Okay, so for the next piece here, we're going to line this back up again. And what I'm thinking about doing is actually like trimming the cardstock here so I can kind of bump it up closer. But you know what? We'll just do a couple of rows here and see if we can get a match. Okay. So let me... All right, so I'm going to try to go back to that same spot. Get that down, and then I'm going to clean off my stamp one more time. When I was trying to get the positioning for, this the way that I wanted it, if you want space in between, I'll show you what you can do. And if you want it to be really close like I did, I'll show you what I did. So we're going to take our stamp. Now you can see that there is some space here between the line and the stamp. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up. So if you want a line in between, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So if you want a line like this in between each of these stamps, then you want to be able to see the entire stamp that you already have down. If you want that line to be really close, you're actually going to overlap it so that that line is covered by your stamp. Okay, and I don't even know if that's close enough. I hope so. I'm going to try it and see. So basically this line will cover that stamped line, and hopefully we'll get a good straight or fairly straight image here. Okay, it looks a little crooked. So I'm going to try to straighten that a little bit. And we'll see how this looks. So I'm going to grab it with my plate. And it might not be perfect, but this is just how I was experimenting it with my spacing. And if it's not perfect, you just pull that stamp off and reposition it with the next one. Okay. But if you can see that, that looks pretty good. Okay, so here we go. So you can just sort of see where we went really right and where we went a little bit off. And then if you want to do that single-sided line, you can do that. Let me score. Yeah, there we go. So here we go, just so that you guys can see the difference here. Now what I would do is take my stitched rectangle. Let's see where I have it. And I would sort of find that ideal pattern that I am liking and trim it there so that you can see the way that this would be built out. And then with our scalloped piece here. Okay, and then our ribbon. So we would have our ribbon. And honestly, it's kind of covering up that pattern. So I might actually put it in between the pattern or use a more narrow ribbon just for this particular pattern, because we really want to be able to see that what we just worked on there. So this might be one for the gems, or if you want to put the ribbon behind, do another layer and maybe put it behind like that. You could do that, or you could use your thinner white ribbon. So whatever you would prefer. So that's basically what that version would look like. This is the host code that ends end of day tomorrow, and I will have a new host code on January 18th, which by the way is when I will be having my free online class Tuesday at 11 a.m. and I'll have more details on my email list about that. So if you aren't already signed up for my email list, be sure that you get signed up. I'll put a link in the comments on Facebook, and I'll put a link in the description on YouTube. All right, well, thank you so much. And everybody enjoy your Sunday. For those of you who are having weather, stay safe. And for those of you where it's warm, we are jealous. Okay, bye. I'll see you guys I'll see you on Tuesday for the free class. Bye.